Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. As salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. That's what that means in Arabic. So yeah, we're doing it. We're doing another episode of Terrorisk podcast, and I'm delighted.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time, isn't it?
I'm delighted to have Richie. Let me just introduce yourself.
I've been here before. Richie, as always. No Carmen this time. He's a bit busy.
Yeah, he's at work.
Yeah, he's working.
Carmen is too busy slinging fucking cocktails to like sad white bitches living in Queens.
With one hand, yeah, because he fucked up his hand.
Oh shit, they're gonna make him work with an injury?
Well, he has to wear a glove. That's it. It cuts on his hand, like a glass broke or something.
So right now Carmen's at that bar in Queens, right?
Yeah, last word.
Yeah. The cocktail. I like that.
Have you been there
place.
before?
Yeah, I had oysters there.
Oh, nice.
I was trying to film a video of myself like eating oysters, and while like I didn't realize like Carmen was talking to his coworker in the background, and they were just talking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I think he had like a Mexican coworker, and he's like, "Could you tell me like school me on like what's going on in Israel and Palestine?" And then I just tuned out immediately. I was like, "All right." And this is like last winter too, or something.
Yeah, it's almost
or last summer. I think because
last summer you said
this happened like right before the ship hopped off in Israel.
October 8th, I think they call it October 8th.
Yeah. So I tried to like film a video of myself eating oysters because shit was baller. And in the background, you just hear him going on about like geopolitical tensions in the Middle East, concerning like Gaza and all that stuff. It was funny, And I was just like, I didn't have a care in the world, just slurping my fucking shellfish vaginas,
Yeah, they're pretty good. How many did you have? 12?
I had 2 orders,
sick.
and I ate all of it. Thank God, like they were clean oysters. I didn't get sick. I didn't die. They were fucking good. Put the lemon on it. Put their little sauce on
It's
it.
a vinegar sauce they have, right?
Yeah,
it's really good.
the spot he works at. All right. So for the record, this place is called The Last Word. It's in Queens. Do not go there to harass Carmen. Do not. This place is in Astoria, but do not show up randomly.
Please do not. Yeah, I'd be very pissed off if you do.
No, it's a good date spot though.
It is a good date spot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna complain about I'm not gonna complain about prices in a bar in New York. I feel like that's just.
I mean, there's like the prices are pretty average. Like, what'd you pay? Like, you have a beer or something, or a cocktail?
What?
Do you have a beer there or like a cocktail there?
I had a couple of cocktails. I think I had a sidecar.
Yeah, it's like 15, like 14, which is like average for city prices.
Yeah. Yeah, but I like cocktail bars. I like boozy cocktails because I feel like I'm getting the most for my money. Because like, what, a beer is gonna cost me like $9.
$6, $8.
Yeah.
Depending where you go. You have a local spot around here, Chris? You like to go for beers?
Yeah, of course. This is my fucking island. Make sure you don't roll too far ahead.
sorry.
Actually, grab a stool. I feel like that'll first of
I'll
all,
grab a stool.
it'll make less noise, and it's better for your posture. And yeah, there you go, bud. Now we're both stationary.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah. Do I have spots here? Yeah, I could take you when you don't have to fucking get up at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Dreading it.
Yeah. So let's see. What can we talk about? I mean, there's the election coming up, I guess, but
Do you plan to vote?
not really.
Same.
I already know that Biden or Trump is gonna win.
Yeah, it's just a rerun again. It's gonna be another 4 years of Biden or another 4 years of Trump.
If Trump
I
wins,
think Trump's definitely gonna win, definitely.
yeah, that would be so much more fun if Trump wins.
Or
honestly.
RFK would win, be nice. RFK's president.
He's not gonna fucking.
But he's
win.
so cool though. He works out. He goes eagle hunting.
Yeah, and he's like looks like a fucking psycho.
He has a weird voice.
Yeah, he talks like a psycho too. Who's your least favorite candidate? And talk about that for a second.
My least favorite candidate. Good question. I don't know actually. Joe Stein. Yeah. Is she running?
I don't know. What's wrong with Joe Stein?
It's just like just relevant like 5 years ago, 8 years ago.
Yo, your misogyny is showing.
Yeah,
man.
of course. Yes, Richie misogynist. I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite candidate. Obviously.
Yeah. My favorite candidate of all time. Well, I didn't think so at the time. I just thought she was a bleeding retard. But after I had some recent spiritual experiences, like Marianne Williamson is my bitch. Yo, I really.
Really?
I mean, I didn't understand how a person like that could get a platform, but then like once I got indoctrinated into the new vibe, the vibe shift, I was like, oh, okay.
What's her angle she's going off of?
Spirituality.
Really?
Yeah.
She released a new age candidate? That's awesome.
Yeah, she's literally like a new age candidate. She talks about like orbs, like energy orbs, and
that's sick.
Yeah, they call her the orb queen.
The orb queen.
And like when I wasn't like savvy to the context of like what she was espousing, of course I thought she was like just a retard. But then like again, after past experiences, I'm like, damn, like
maybe you're onto something, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not. There's people are. I feel like people are getting into spirituality in varying degrees in various contexts. Like
I think so, yeah.
Like recently, I saw I watched Tucker Carlson on Joe Rogan.
Oh, I didn't see it. I heard it was good though.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Talk about ice giants in Antarctica or something like that.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like dives. It touches upon it's labeled unfairly, in my opinion, as a QAnon conspiracy. The whole idea of like the government already knowing about Nephilim, the existence of Nephilim, or like black programs that fucking concern themselves with like splicing Nephilim DNA into humans, and that's how you get like freaks like Baron Trump, But
or have you met Nick Dove?
What?
My friend Nick Dove. He's 7'3". You've definitely seen him before, no?
I think so, yeah. But to Tucker Carlson's credit, like he doesn't go full blown schizo. Like he approaches it with a rational mind. Like he knows what he knows. Like he knows what can be proven, and he knows what can't be proven.
Well, he's also putting on a performance too as well, because he's on live on TV.
Yeah, but he's there's nothing to perform. Like all he's saying is like, yeah, if you believe in like a soul, if you believe in a spirit, and it is very spiritual. And he doesn't reference like new conspiracies. What he does is he says a lot about how like, before we came into this new paradigm of strict scientific materialism, for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, people knew. It wasn't like a question. It's like they knew there was an essence, like a metaphysical truth to be grasped, And he states, well, like all the new age dudes think, like they're all saying like, yeah, this is what we lost touch with at some point in the modern context of society, which is why. And he's like also saying like, people are coming back to it, now that collectively we could become more made aware of it again because of, things like the internet and like communication improving. And, like it's just become more of a resource. Like people now have access to like reviewing like scriptures from other things besides the fucking Bible and the Torah and shit, The
Quran.
Yeah. All the major Abrahamic shit,
Was the Dead Sea Scrolls are popular for like 20 plus years ago?
Okay, so like, I mean, even tradition.
Which I've never read the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yeah, that's like, I don't think that's like one of the juicier, like, because that's like well known and well recorded. But like, I think like the more interesting stuff is like, every major religion has their mystical branches. Like the Jews have the Kabbalah, the fucking Christians have Gnosticism, the Muslims have their own crazy shit going on. I mean, if anything, like I, remember when I experimented with like semen retention, all three schools of like Abrahamic mysticism, they all covered it. They all said the same shit. They were like, yeah,
Yeah, you shouldn't masturbate.
No, not even like, well, yeah, that's like the most surface level interpretation, but it's like, why shouldn't you masturbate? Well, how does masturbation actually hurt you? Aside from the material aspects, like, oh, it's just a bad look. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing.
It's a mess.
No, there's more than that. It's also the fact that it's, like your semen, your ejaculation, your orgasm is very much tied to your energy, your mana,
Yeah, I've read theories like that, which I do believe for the most part.
Okay, so
it is spiritually degrading to do that to yourself.
What is mana? Like what is your magical essence, your magical energy, your ability to manifest and conjure shit? What is that? That's your will, right? Your willpower. Now, on a very simple basic level, like it's way more complicated than this, but like when you bust, like about the refractory period, right?
Yeah, post-nut clarity.
Post-nut clarity, exactly. I mean, aside from your own projected emotional implications on post-nut clarity, what does it really mean? It's like on a objective energetic level, that means when you're in that state, you just busted a nut, you're not in the mood to go up and work out. You're not in the mood to go up and study shit. You're not in the mood.
Tired,
You're not in the mood to better yourself. No, you already got the reward for the work because you cheated the system.
You got the dopamine hit while doing actual work.
In the natural world, you're supposed to like accomplish shit as a mammal or a human male in whatever in the natural world, and then you earn a mate, and then because of whatever, and then you get to fuck, and then that's your reward, and then your brain, and then that's how we're wired, where that's the signal that we're on the right path. Like where our bodies are strong enough, where we show the right qualities of leadership. That's what attracts a mate. So that's what allows us to get our rocks off. Whereas in modern society, we're so embedded with this programming where it's like, oh, by the way, it's okay to just pull up porn and just jack off.
Well, just it's freely available. Basically, it's free.
Yeah. So morality aside, what that's saying is that we're basically hitting our brain chemical reward system like a fucking pinata constantly. What do you think that does to us? I mean, what do you think that does to your energy? What do you think that does to your like development and your life path? Like it changes everything.
I imagine you get pretty fried out too after a while.
Like what happens like if every day you're living in post-nut clarity? Like are you gonna do shit with your life? No, you're not gonna do jack shit. It's only when you're stupid and horny is when you get up and I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna go accomplish something, I'm gonna make some fucking money, I'm gonna get mad bitches, That's when you're in that mood. But when you're just busting constantly from jacking off to porn, then you're literally just you're giving yourself easy access to those chemical rewards.
Right.
And then you're not going to want to change anything in your external reality. I think that's slavery. That's how they program you into enslaving yourself. Right. And that's the insidious part. And now it gets even more interesting when you discuss, like openly discuss in the modern paradigm, things like the possibility of practicing semen retention. Suddenly everyone has like a knee-jerk reaction to it. Like a lot. You either got those like fucking pissed off like feminazis who are like, yeah, down with porn. They're just speaking from a place of trauma and hurt.
Of course, yeah.
But then you also got those fucking gooners who are like, oh no, fuck you, no fat fucking piece of incel shit. It's like, oh, you must get no bitches. Oh yeah, no fat. Blah. But meanwhile, like you think about it, it's like, why would you assume that incels have the discipline to engage with no fap? Yeah. No, it's if anything.
Probably some do, I imagine.
If anything, the incels are the ones who spend too much time fucking jerking off. Otherwise, they wouldn't be fucking incels. If anything, if you actually use your fucking brain, you'd be able to logically conclude that it's most likely the incel that is a fucking gooner. Now then you could ask the chicken or the egg question, like are they an incel because they're a gooner, or are they gooning because they are an incel? Either way, right. You're not gonna say it's stupid to attach the concept of semen retention to incel behavior. It doesn't work. It doesn't track.
Right. Yeah, it really is stupid.
Yeah, so it doesn't track. It doesn't make sense, and it's also I get that it's a very uncomfortable and touchy subject.
Right, I think porn addiction is pretty rampant in America in general.
That's why like I noticed like how crazy it's like. I guess I took it for granted. That was the problem. I took it for granted because I was able to do it, and I automatically assumed everyone else could do it. But then I didn't realize like how serious this shit actually is for like people. Like chronic.
It's a drug in itself.
And what's fucked up is it's subverting something so natural and then using it like to an extent where it could destroy you, and like being trained or conditioned to think that's okay. Like that's just normal.
Well, how do you get out of it, you think? Semen retention, cutting off all technology?
No, I mean, it's just practice discipline. First of all, it's like you got to recognize. It's like any other addiction, any other problem. First of all, you have to fucking recognize it. And it's hard to recognize having a masturbation problem when like institutions are telling you, it's like, yeah, it's okay to masturbate as much as you fucking want. And it's, oh yeah, porn is okay. Why are you shaming sex workers? Why are you shaming porn, like sex positivity? It's all fucking horseshit. And it's very insidious. It's like, it's very fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like best case scenario at the top of these things, these concepts are people who just fucked up themselves, and they're so insecure about it, they want to like change the whole world to follow their example so that they could feel better about it. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is that this paradigm is 100% intentional to make us into a generation of gooners, because gooners are a lot easier to manage than like self-respecting, especially men.
Yeah, sure. They think it's intentional, or it's like happenstance from technology, like after effect from technology.
I think you're like that possibility you put forth is less likely.
Think so? Why?
To just be a coincidental byproduct of technology. No, I don't think so. I don't think though. There were economic factors. Even before like internet porn was a thing, there were economic factors that pushed women into doing porn. Like and to filming porn. I mean, sure, there's like examples of like where they did it like willingly, and this is what they aspired to do. But the reality of the fact is like, basically the worst reasons to get into porn before internet porn was a thing just got magnified after internet porn came out. It just became worse. And not only did it adversely affect the people who were forced to do those things to maintain a certain lifestyle, but also the people who like get addicted to consuming that content, Well,
I think it's worse now because you're more incentivized to doing porn, like OnlyFans.
Dude, like we spent the last hour in the car listening to this shit about how like your habits define like your reality way more than your fucking ideas, your intelligence, your traumas, your past. No, it's your daily habits. They say there was a quote. They say that genius isn't in genetics. Genius is in your habits.
Sure, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so this is why I do feel strongly about like, I'm not even talking about no FAP. No FAP is its own thing. No FAP is like, and semen retention is its own thing. They're two different things. Right. Semen retention is concerned with not coming. No FAP is concerned with not jacking off. Like they're I mean, they both kind of follow like. But it's also like you have to approach it. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you?
Yeah, what are you getting out of it most part?
Are you just doing it just to say for NoFap November as like a meme? Or are you doing it because you recognize you have a fucking problem?
Yeah, spiritual reasons, health-wise.
Exactly.
Lack of intimacy is also one as well.
Yeah, and that's just one example of self-compromising, and self-compromising with things that we're taught is okay, but is actually not okay. Another example is like working a shitty job you hate,
Right, gone.
That's another thing that we're conditioned to think is okay, which is actually very destructive to you.
Yeah, of course. It's very spiritually denigrating as well.
It makes you lose the will to live. I mean, that's the kind of shit that makes people...
Well, your hobbies, too. If you have any hobby, like playing guitar or something, that's really gets when you have working 9 to 5 constantly. Like, you go to work, you're tired. You don't want to play your guitar at all. Or you're just too, tired off work or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, the work isn't the problem. Work is fine. Work is okay. I don't mind.
Well, yeah, work itself is fine. It's natural of life.
It's jobs that's bad.
Yeah, it's jobs, yeah.
Fucking jobs. Like that's the bad part. But work is work. No one can avoid work. Work is fine. Work is good for you. But jobs are bad.
Yeah, very German mindset.
What?
Very German mindset.
What do you mean?
Being pro-work. Germans love to work, notoriously speaking.
I'm not pro or anti-work. It's just work is an unavoidable aspect of life. Right. And work is an unavoidable part of the formula of getting what you want.
True, yeah. It means to an end.
Yeah, exactly. It's a means to an end. Funny thing, like, I was also saying to someone how, like, some guy on the internet reposted
Facebook?
This, I don't know. I forgot. But it was this meme that said, like, a person who is unconcerned with politics is like, basically it says like a person unconcerned with politics is actively enabling themselves to be ruled over by evil men. And I was like, but that's stupid. First of all, I disagree with that quote because
go on.
Being obsessed with politics does not save you from being ruled by evil men either. Yeah. It doesn't track either way. And someone was saying like, they basically, they were like, patronizing me. They were like, oh, I thought you said you weren't about loser ideology. Well, you're and I was like basically saying, it's like, honestly, I just think politics is a means to an end, nothing more and nothing less. And of course, that's when things get up for debate, and that's when that person just chimed in and say, oh yeah, and the purpose is for to give everyone housing and blah blah blah. No, that's not. First of all,
it's not to run like a country or state. No, that's make people happy. This is a byproduct of doing that. I
mean, that's the ideal. That's the ideal end to use politics as a means to reach. But it's not usually. It's not always the case. If anything, it's like hardly ever that. But like, yeah.
Well, so how do you define happiness as well? Material wealth or like actual spiritual wealth?
Happiness?
Yeah.
Happiness is a state of being. I mean, it's not a state of being you're expected, or I don't think it's even possible to stay in a state of happiness 24/7.
Yeah,
but it's a
comes
state.
And goes. Yeah.
It's a state. It's a state of being. And now let's define that. Happiness is a state of being. When you're not happy, what other states are you? You're sad, right? You're angry.
Neutral, maybe.
Yeah. These are states that are triggered by emotions. Now, here's how I view emotions. Emotions are just visitors passing through you. That's all emotions are.
That's a nice way of putting it.
No, that's a true way to put it. It's not even a nice way to put it. No, that is the way to put it. That is the truth. Problems happen when people have an emotional response to something in the moment, and they drag that emotion out for like minutes to hours to days to months to years, you know, like that's when you have problems, when you keep trying to stay in one specific emotional state. And it happens across the board, not just with happiness, because then they're constantly chasing that bliss high, like bliss junkies. But then there's anger, you know, people like they may not consciously want to be angry 24/7, but
sure,
but that's just what their body's comfortable with, being angry all the time. So subconsciously they're going to lean towards situations and you know, ideas and whatever scenarios that's going to make them fucking angry. Same thing with sadness, you know, like there's very comfortable things about I mean, sure, there's terrible things about depression, but depression can also be very comfortable in a way, because depression, I think, it's become a good excuse to be a fucking narcissist.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because when you're depressed, like, do you really have time? Like, what the fuck do you have to worry about other people's problems?
Yeah, you ignore other people, basically.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably plenty of functional depressed people out there. It's like, oh, that's not true. I'm depressed and I could blah 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 blah. And they'll take like a whole fucking essay to like describe their nuanced existence, and which I don't fucking care to hear, by the way. But what I will say is, like, they're all like, I think those conditions, those like maladies, emotional maladies, happen because you're trying to drag out a certain emotional state, you know. Meanwhile, you should just view every emotion as just visitors passing through. So if you aren't your emotions, then what are you? That's a question for you. Like, tell me, if you're not your emotions, then what are you?
Basic instincts, I would assume.
Are you really just your basic instincts?
Yeah, I think so.
No, because your basic instincts don't make you pick up a fucking guitar and practice hours and hours and invest time into something that has no practical value. That's not basic instincts. So no, try again. If you're not your emotions, then what? And you're not your basic instincts, then what are you?
I don't know then.
Exactly, because that we don't know, right? Because first of all, we're never taught these things in school or anything. And two, it's like we're taught never to think about it. It's like almost like we're like trained not to ever ask that question. If I'm not my emotions, I'm not my basic instincts, and I'm not those really stupid thoughts that just pass by, or the smart. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my basic instincts. Then what the fuck am I? And that's the question. And if you could answer that like confidently, and if you find the answer to that question, that is a spiritual awakening.
Sure. Okay.
I'm serious. Like, this is it's I'm just talking like fundamentals. This is all basic shit. Like, think about it. Like, you can't get any more basic than this. Like, we're talking about, what are we? What am I? Am I just my body? It's like, no, I have thoughts and feelings. Like, you know, I'm more than just my body. But I'm not my thoughts, because my thoughts come and go, and not every thought is profound. Not every thought is correct or morally right even. So no, I'm not my thoughts all the time.
Do you believe in free will?
Sure. Yeah, I believe in free will. Yeah. But it's like, to what extent, you know, like free will in what sense? I mean,
Let's answer everyone fully. Like, do you fully have free will?
I think the idea of free will is also a means to an end. Now, let me explain. Like, I think if you're doing like really badly in life, if you're really poor, if you're like in a really shitty situation, then yes, you should definitely believe in free will. However, if you're doing really well in life, if you're like a millionaire, maybe even a billionaire, let's say you're just really powerful and you gained like a lot of abundance in your life, then you shouldn't believe in free will. Then that's when like the belief in free will can actually harm you like really quickly. So I think it's a means to an end. It's just a belief in free will. It's just an exercise of will in itself, to believe in it or not, or to acknowledge it or not. Think about it. Imagine it. Like, let's say you're doing really bad in life and you don't believe in free will. Then all that's going to tell you is that, oh, my life is supposed to be shitty. My life is shitty because that's my destiny, my fate. Whereas if you believe in free will and your life is shitty, you're going to think, oh no, my life is shitty because I make it this way. I got to change. I could do something to make it not shitty, because it's all a product of my will. However, if you're already doing well for yourself, right? Let's say you're a millionaire and you believe in free will, you could end up doing a lot of fucking damage, because you already have a lot of power, and you're thinking, I have this power because I got here by my will. It's all
a sophism.
Yeah. So you become like, you get gassed up, and you could end up like really hurting people because you think you have a right to, because you could think lesser of other people really easily, just because you believed in free will. Now, say you don't believe in free will. Say like you're a rich person and you don't believe in free will. Then you're going to conclude like, I'm here by destiny. It's fated. Yeah. But then you're going to start asking, well, why? And then once you keep asking why, you're going to ask, well, did I get all this money so I could hurt people with it? And you're going to ask that, and you're going to say, no. Well, did I get all this money so I could be of service? Probably, yeah. So you ask the right questions when you look to a higher power after. So I think it's like it's a different curriculum. Like if your life is shit, your assignment is to discover free will. If your life isn't shit, your assignment is to give up free will.
Nice. Have you read Hegel, Chris?
No.
He talks about one of his essays about history flows through people like Napoleon, Julius Caesar. It's really interesting. I have a copy of it somewhere in my apartment.
Yeah, no, I like philosophy and stuff. The reason why I never dive too deep into philosophical text is because I get worried. Now, like I wouldn't call myself a quote unquote natural. It's just these are I realized I came to a lot of good ideas and good realizations just completely on my own, just through experience, without picking up or diving into taking a philosophy class or a course or like reading like books such as like Hegel or like
philosophy history, I think it's called.
Yeah, so it feels uncorrupted. You know, it feels natural. It's like, dude, I didn't have to like read a bunch of texts from some dead guys to come to the same conclusions they did.
Sure.
You know, like I like that, but at the same time, I feel like my worldview would be enriched if I did.
I think you should. Yeah, I mean, probably think some of you are missing out. Like people you didn't pick up on before. Or angles that you didn't pick up before.
But also, it's like, you know, there's also the contextual basis. Like, what am I really going to take from it? I mean, I can't take it as, like, undefinable.
I mean, it's interesting because like, it's a 17th century philosophers like house arrest. He must have some good ideas.
Yeah, I guess what I really have to do is when I look into that stuff, I have to really use discernment. Like, the guys who are just, like, literally just writing from purely their analytical mind, or the dudes that write from their intuitive mind, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
You know, some philosophers really are more intuitive, like Nietzsche, for example.
Yeah.
I'll call him intuitive. Whereas like guys like what was his name? Schopenhauer,
yeah.
Schopenhauer. I would say he was more analytical.
Oh, definitely, yeah. He's pretty pessimistic.
Well, yeah, because if you're materialistic, it's all bleak. You know, if you're a pure materialist, there's no hope. There's no hope. All you have to look forward to as a staunch materialist. This goes for everyone listening. If you are a staunch materialist, all you have to look forward to is like the heat death of the universe, because that's what all material factors point to. However, if you look at everything from a higher, you know, like a higher dimension, say like spirituality, from a spiritual perspective, then yeah, you might look at things very differently. Of course, you know. I mean, I think there's an in between point, which is very essential for us to collectively like get to that level of like spiritual development. I do think that in between our materialist sensibility and our materialist paradigm of reality to like the fifth dimensional spiritual new age sensibility, where they live through like a conscious, you know, a consciously awakened state, you know, like where their ideal thing is love, you know, their ideal that they live by is love, and to share love with all other beings that they share, you know, oneness with, because everything is connected, which is true. You know, like if you do look at things spiritually, that's like the only way to look at it. It's we are all spirits, and those spirits eventually have a source, which is quote unquote God, or source, or whatever you want to call it. Now, in between that, like I think like it's really hard to make that jump from material to spiritual. Like if all you're used to is this, and this is like your embedded thing, then it's hard to like make that jump. There's a bridge, and I think that's like the quantum science, the quantum aspect of things, you know, because that it's still rooted in like material science, right?
Yeah, of course.
But it's
absolutely,
it also exists beyond the boundary of like conventional
wisdom.
Yes, because like you're seeing, like, for example, very simple example, like we know that light is like the fastest thing in known space that we could measure with like our senses. Like there's nothing faster than light. To move faster than light is like not possible. Not even like radio transmissions can move faster, because it's literally moving like as through light, you know, like through like radio waves, which is like, you know, like a lot of it's like light particles. And what they found was that if you take a subatomic particle, if you break apart an atom and like all the stuff like that an atom's made out of, you could take a particle, or two particles actually, subatomic particles, put them in a state of quantum entanglement. And what essentially this means is that like you could separate these two particles that are in a state of entanglement, separate them between like millions and millions and millions of light years away, right?
Yeah.
They proved that if you could shift whatever happens to one particle instantaneously as it happens to the other particle. Now, if it's far enough out in space, you can't do that with traditional like technology. Like that seems instantaneous to us. Like
I see.
like fucking infrared or something. Like it still there's still a lag. You know, it still takes that time, light years, right? But they found that quantum entanglement completely subverts that dynamic, subverts that known limitation, and we have no idea why. We just know that it works. So that's one example. And I think like a lot of it has to do with breaking the boundaries of, first of all, time and space as we know it, you know? Because like, I'll give you a good example. And this is actually like working from the spiritual and back to the material and passing through like that quantum
Yeah,
element.
please do. Give me an example.
All right, so let's start with the self, the purely the self who exists in the present moment, right? But there is a future. Like, do you believe in parallel realities, like parallel universes?
It's possible. Won't deny it.
It's honestly probable. Like, it's very probable, especially if you think of like infinite space. There's probably there's probably many planets just like ours, you know, where there's a person just like me.
Oh yeah, mathematically speaking, yeah, it's possible.
It may be the exact same as ours, just 5 minutes behind. And in other
Sure.
words, 5 minutes, and there could be infinite number of these that are seconds ahead, seconds behind. Yeah, shit like that. So technically, it probably does exist, you know. Like, that being said, now I want you to like, this might take a second, but after you think about it, you're gonna realize it is possible if you truly grasp like infinity. So the idea is being able, from a spirit. This is starting from the spiritual, like. Instead of like, you know, considering like going from all things are connected, all points in space and time are connected with love and all this shit, let's move back to timelines. So let's say there's not just the Richie sitting before me, right? What if there's two more versions of Richie, right? There's Richie in the past and there's Richie in the future. Now, I ask the Richie in the present, make contact with future Richie and past Richie. Do you think it's possible?
No.
Why?
Like humans are like state by state beings, basically.
Meaning what? Like, how does that make it not possible?
I mean, like humans are basically living in a moment for the most part. I don't think there's any way I could possibly connect with Mitchie in the past or the future.
Okay.
They both don't exist in my head for the most part.
But that's silly. Let me give you an example.
Okay, go on.
You ever write a note to yourself?
Yeah.
That's literally
Sure.
That's not. You can't just like take that for granted. That's literally your present self communicating with your future self, right? Really think about that. So that literally tells you what? It's literally possible. That tells you one thing. It's possible to make contact with your future self. Yeah. That's already a given.
You think you're still you? What's after years of experiences? You can argue it's a different person that reads the letter.
Yeah, but it's that we already know that that's a different person than your present self. So yeah, we already know that. That doesn't go against what I'm saying. Okay. You know, you're literally talking to a different person. That's future Richie, right? But present Richie is going to eventually be future Richie.
Yeah, yes.
Right? So what happens to present Richie once present Richie becomes future Richie? Present Richie becomes past Richie.
Sure.
So as long as there's an open communication, first start with the easiest one. I mean, I feel like it's easier to communicate with your future self than it is to open a line of communication with your past self.
Sure, yeah, I could see.
So if you continuously
just keep doing that,
the longer and more consistently you do it, the stronger that connection gets. That's an example of subverting our known perception of like time, of how we experience time. Okay. You could look at it as, no, it's not just present. I'm not just present Chris experiencing the present. No, I'm also aware and conscious of future Chris. We're in contact. In fact, I talk to future Chris, and guess what? Future Chris talks back. I talk to past Chris all the time. I forgive past Chris for his mistakes.
Right.
And past Chris really does appreciate it, because as the present, you know, like I said, if it becomes a consistent practice, the present Chris will be like, if I make a mistake, I'll be like, I'm sorry, future Chris, but I know you'll forgive me for this. You know, like, you know,
of course, yeah, that's good.
But this is real shit. This isn't just mind games. This is exercising your autonomy on a metaphysical level, you know, and this is very, very, very important. This is literally how you could evolve as a whole different being than just an animal that's just like reacting to external stimuli 24/7.
Okay.
No, this is where you start to manifest your own external stimuli. This is what people don't get, you know? So it's like, I feel like if you just talk in terms of like spirituality, it's going to lose the people that are stuck in the third dimension, you know, in the material reality. But this, what I just did with you, how we both acknowledge that it is possible to communicate with your future and past selves. In fact, I think it's actually incredible. You know, it's an incredible concept, and I think it should take off. I think more people should do it.
Yeah, it's good advice.
It's not even advice. It's to me, it's magic. That is magic. You know, to like, and it's crazy how like, first of all, how instantaneous. Like, as soon as you start to imagine like the possibility or how that works, you're already in it. You're already doing. You're already kind of like, like I basically just implanted the virus of like evolution. It's like imagine like showing an ape like, you know, something. It's like that. When I came across the concept, I was like, can I like make contact with future and past self? Like, and the answer is yes. And it's incredible. And the result is fucking incredible.
Yes. Sick.
And you said it wasn't possible, but I just proved to you that you were wrong.
Yes, I've been proven wrong.
So there you go. So you do that more as a regular practice. It's going to change your fuck. It doesn't just change your life, like in a
Yeah, things get recontextualized in your life.
Yeah, it changes the whole dynamic of your life and how you experience it. You know, that's how I experience my life. I'm not just living in. Yes, I'm in the present, but I'm not just in the present. You know, and it's funny. It's funny because when done the wrong way, this could be disastrous.
How so?
When people who suffer anxiety are constantly living in the future, people who constantly suffer depression are constantly living in the past. They're stuck in the past, or they're stuck, or they're stuck worrying about events that haven't even happened yet. That's like a misuse of this. That's when this kind of thing could go wrong, and it fucks your entire life up. Whereas if you're taught the right perspective and the right, like acknowledging the right intention of it, like why this happens like this, then suddenly it doesn't become a source of anxiety or depression. Suddenly it becomes your fucking like superpower.
It's pretty cool.
It's amazing. It's incredible. It's like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, real superpower you've unlocked.
I mean, it's not just anyone could do this. It's just a question. First of all, it's interesting too. Think about like the pure skeptic, the guy, the douchebag, the asshole who'd be like, "You're just talking nonsense. You're a fucking idiot." You know, like that just shows like, dude. You know what I mean? Like I would assume. I mean, judging from your reaction to this, you're intelligent enough to know what I'm putting down. Like,
yeah, of course.
And you see the value in what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, people should think more about communicating with their future selves. They would make less stupid decisions, like less self-destructive decisions.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah. So anyway, that's like using the quantum as a bridge between the material and the spiritual, because it is spiritual. That's what makes it all work. It's the spiritual aspect, you know. It's just it's basically going 3D to 4D to 5D, you know. That's how they call it in the new age shit. But it's actually a good, like, you know, labeling system, so that you're talking about dimensions of thought and reality and thinking about things, you know.
Yeah, it's something memorable. Like a system like that, 4D, 5D.
Could you pass me a Sapporo?
Yeah, I can.
Good look in Brooklyn. You actually live in Brooklyn, so I could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to blow your mind. Okay. I didn't mean to blow your mind. Blow your penis like your mind. I didn't mean to blow your penis. I didn't mean to blow your mind. Sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to blow your mind.
Blow your head off.
I didn't mean to blow your head off.
Are we on time?
Oh, come on. Don't look at the clock. I'm having a good time right now. Luckily, we got plenty of time left. We're about only halfway.
All right, cool. Wow, only been halfway. Shit.
Yeah, time slows down when you're having fun, huh?
Yeah. True magic, as you would say.
All right. Another news. There's also, I'm still doing sword classes.
Yeah, how's that going? Tell me more about it.
I'm getting good. I'm getting really nice. I'm putting a lot of thought into it. You know, I think I gotta say, like, I think the sword classes really helps me from becoming like a fully retarded spiritual person. You know, like the hippie girl on the internet.
Yeah, the one's hot.
Yeah,
the hot one.
Yeah, I fuck her.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Anyway,
definitely would. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like all spiritual people need to practice martial arts. Like,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like that's the one thing that's missing from those like new age retards' lives.
Well, they're all pretty anemic too. Anemic, very skinny, in their own heads constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
like Mishima talks about.
also it's like, I think like a lot of like new age spiritual people, they get too caught up with like, same thing with astrology. They get too caught up with the categorization and the labeling and like, oh, I'm this, and they basically want the answers in black and white. They don't understand. I think it's kind of missing the point in a lot of ways. Like they want the solid thing to just acknowledge and point at, and to just like, and then it goes back to like, if I just know this one thing, if I discover this one thing, if I just do this one thing, then I'll never have to feel stress or anxiety ever again. Which is a fucking, we were just saying how like stupid it is.
Yeah, it's a horrible advice to give anyone. It's unrealistic, yeah.
Well, it's no, that's even more fucked up. It's like no one really thinks to say that as advice, but it's like how like certain people were like trained to think. It's like, if you just do this one thing, if you just make $1 million, if you just become famous, if you just become hot, if you just get muscles, if you just get a nice car, if you could just get a lot of influence, then you'll never feel stress or anxiety again. Like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's not real. That's not like, accurate to real life at all.
I guess like who's to blame for that? I mean, people could call
the culture, I guess. We live in a very cold culture.
I mean,
everyone must be happy constantly.
I mean, yeah,
everyone's just be going fine with you constantly.
Yeah, that's never like bliss junkies. Like we were just saying before. Like it's terrible. You can't expect to ever live a life as a human being on 3D Earth, like as a person who will never experience like stress or anxiety. Like, no, that's
it's impossible. It's like really, really, really rich, I guess.
Yeah. Nah, even then, like,
or like a monk or something, I guess. Because you have spiritual if you're a monk.
No, I think a monk would understand that all life is suffering as long as they're on this earth, So, all right. So this is why spirituality is important, I think, for human development. It's because once you get over all that stuff, once you understand, like, all life is suffering, all material life is suffering. So then what the fuck is the point? It's to be of service. Not to diminish the suffering that's going to inevitably be there with that, whatever you do. It's to be of service. It's to first of all be of service to yourself, and then be of service to others.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what most human life is like for the most part.
Yeah. So bad things happen when you do a disservice to yourself, and when you do a disservice to others.
Go on.
Okay, so how do you be of service to yourself? That's the big question, right? It's like, that's what it boils down to. Nothing spiritually you do will ever be positive in outcome until you like figure out like, how do you actually be of service to yourself first, because that's number one. And it's not to get $1 million. It's not to do a lot of drugs. It's not to quit your job. It's not to move to Bali. You have to align your mind, body, and spirit. That's the key to being of service to self, is do things that will further align your mind, body, and spirit, that will make it so those three aspects of yourself are not at war with each other. That's the way to truly be of service to yourself. Once you do that, then you can show up for other people in the best way every time. Then you could truly like show up able to make a positive impact on your surroundings. If you don't do that first part, if you're not in alignment, you're gonna just be making like shitty outcomes everywhere you go.
You should just having a hobby.
What?
You should just having a hobby or like some kind of focus. So it's like you obviously work in your family.
No. I mean, look. All right. So let's break it down. How do you align mind, body, and spirit? So there's the easy ones first, like the body. How do you care for the body? Well, don't eat McDonald's. Like don't eat. I mean, whatever. You could treat yourself every now and then, but just don't eat shit every day. Like don't eat like shit. In fact, most of the time, most Americans eat too much. Like literally.
Actually, yeah.
We do.
High protein too, which is like amazing to think about.
Well, high protein is fine. I mean, if especially,
it's unheard of, like mostly historically speaking.
Oh
like,
yeah.
High protein diet.
I don't think there's anything wrong with a high protein.
Oh no, I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's great. But it's amazing to think about.
But the problem is most of us don't even eat high protein diets. Like
That's true.
most people eat
carbs and fats, I assume.
Yeah, like carbs, fats, and sugars.
Well, it's pretty historical too. That's like besides sugar, obviously, it's like what kept most people alive for the most part. Bread, beer, maybe some fish or vegetables if you're lucky.
Yeah, but that was like when we lived in a time. All right, so let's do a little history lesson. So basically, we're gonna deviate because we're gonna put a pin on this. How do we align mind, body, and soul? But as far as the body goes, like one of the biggest problems in America is that there's so many people that are fucking obese. We know this. It's no big secret. You know, America, people like all over the world make fun of Americans for being so fucking fat. And what causes like this kind of obesity? Well, I think the real source of it, and actually it's not even, I think this is actually known fact. It's because at one point we were going through a food crisis. Like we didn't have enough food and people were fucking starving. The Great Depression, right? Yes. People were literally starving to death. So someone, I think some military scientist or whatever, figured out a way using the same technology they used to make weapons. Like I think it was like some kind of gas weapon or some shit, or some gas bomb.
Really?
Yeah, they use the technology from developing those weapons to figure out how to artificially fertilize soil, to basically artificially feed the soil nitrogen. Because that's the hardest part of farming and agriculture. Right. It's you can't just have soil and dirt, and you can't just expect shit to grow from dirt. It has to be like, you know, good, healthy, broken, fertilized soil. And fertilized soil means it's infused with nitrogen. It means there's like what's the word? Compost. There's compost like being broken down in the dirt where it's like releasing gases, which can provide like fertile ground for like, you know, things to like grow and gain like nutrients from. So what they figured out how to do was basically create hundreds of times of the crop yield by artificially infusing soil in America with nitrogen. And that basically solved our America's hunger problem. We had a mass starvation problem and we literally fixed it using like bomb technology.
Yeah.
So once that happened, flash forward like a few decades later, now we're in a position where we have entirely too much food, and it's low quality food. Yeah. Decades and decades and decades of cattle raised by like food grown from like artificially infused like soil that didn't have time to like go through a natural composting process like you'd see in nature. Right. So it's not even good. It's all basically like it our body is basically fueled by like blanks. You know,
seed oils.
Yeah.
Trans fats.
Terrible. So like knowing that, now all of America's richest food companies, and these companies like they have so much power.
Oh, it's so insane. Do you know about the cease and desist from the Monsanto? They own like a shred of corn apparently, so if you try to grow that corn, they'll cease and desist. Yeah, it's fucking insane. Yeah, dude. So yeah, we know they're very, very powerful, but now they're in a position where they make entirely too much food, and if they don't sell it, if they don't sell their excess, they're in a deficit. Oh, definitely, yeah.
So their only option is to keep us eating more and more and more and more, and they do it in all sorts of fucking crazy ways.
I mean, remember COVID, right? When all the pigs went to waste in COVID during COVID because they bought meat. There's like excess of pigs or whatever and cows during COVID. Oh, they kill a whole bunch. They had to kill a whole bunch of them.
I mean, yeah, that's. Oh well, yeah, you're right. That is pretty fucking crazy. You're right. That is that.
No one talks about it at all. No one ever mentioned that.
That really does kind of like display our excess in full naked view. Like it's insane. It's insanity how like much food we produce, and their only choice, like on a capitalist level, they have to keep us eating. Their only choice is to keep us eating.
But you have to keep giving people jobs too. You might keep the economy going as well.
And they don't give a fuck.
Same idea.
And they don't give a fuck if most of our population gets fat, and the government doesn't give a fuck if we get fat because we're working sedentary jobs anyway. You know, we can still be fat fucks and still work. So there's that. And I think so. Back to caring for the body. You got to really like care more about your diet and your nutrition than you would normally in the modern world, in a modern first world country, because we live in a state of excess, and you got to master yourself to like master excess, because that's its own challenge, and it could fuck you up in a whole different way. So there, you know, it's the food, and also like, you know, don't look at porn, don't jack off to porn. That's also bad for your body. What else? Like, you know, doing crack. drinking alcohol. I mean, like, we're drinking alcohol, but I'm saying like really drinking alcohol, like that shit's like whatever. All sorts of things like heroin, fentanyl. Like, yeah, if anything, this is why I say like body first, because body's the easiest. The body is the simplest thing to care for. Now the mind. The mind is like a little harder, but it's also pretty straightforward. To care for the mind is you have to unlearn ideas and beliefs that no longer serve you and in fact harm you. For example, like biggest basic one, atheism. Unlearn that because it's just not helpful. Like being an atheist will literally harm you. It's literally not good for you. Think about it. There's no basis for like, some metaphysical basis for morality. So you, as an atheist, like you really could justify either I'm going to do this horrible shit if it benefits me enough,
Right. Sure.
Not because I have to live with it for eternity, like if my soul has to live with that, like that's one example.
Also makes it annoying too.
I mean, agnostics is like even less harmful than atheism because if you're agnostic, at least you're open to the idea. You just haven't seen it or felt it yet. So there's that, and then there's other ideas that you should like racist ideas. You definitely shouldn't like take that too seriously because if you believe in like a soul, everyone's got a soul regardless of their fucking race, and then the soul has the same source. So it's like it's like no matter who you are, if I harm you, I'm ultimately harming myself. That's how like karma works.
Extension of yourself.
Yeah. So you don't want that, and so caring for the mind is really like reworking your ideas and your belief systems, and we know now that your beliefs are just like thoughts you repeat over and over again. That's all a belief is. So it's like reworking your thoughts, reworking like the way you think, reworking like how you think about things, and like you're like unlearning your beliefs. And that's harder than your body. In fact, I would say like it's harder than maintaining a diet. It's to maintain a better mindset.
Right. It's very hard to do, especially in modern society.
Yeah. And I just gave first of all, I just gave you guys like really good beliefs. Like, first of all, like, like treat everyone else as if they're just the same soul living out different lives in different bodies. You'll have a better relationship, with like everybody in your life.
You're probably happier, at least more calm.
100%. Because you'll take things a lot less personally. You'll understand a lot better. Like you'll be more empathetic. You'll be compassionate. You'll just be better. So yeah, that's why you should. There's one idea that you should turn into like a belief. Yeah. There's that, and like atheism is probably not a good way to go. Like, it's not good. Pure materialism is gonna fuck you up really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's reflective to our current society.
Yeah, exactly. And look where it's gotten us. It's terrible.
It's awful. Yeah.
And like people would ask me, it's like, oh well, what if you're wrong about spirituality? Well, it doesn't matter because materially, I still did a more positive outcome, believing in it than not.
Plus, you have nothing to lose either if you're wrong.
Yeah, and even if I am wrong, because it still had a better outcome in reality, that means it still is right. It still is true.
Yeah,
because it's I believe in the same thing about like demon possession and spirits and stuff. It's like, let's say materially demons aren't real. Great. Okay. But like the idea of a demon and whatever was able to affect a person enough where it was actually able to change their behavior to reflect demonic possession, where that's a materialist manifestation of demonic possession. So for all intents and purposes, it's fucking real. Right?
Yeah.
Because the manifestation of it is real. Even if the basis of it isn't agreed upon, like, like it's still a real phenomenon and it exists and it's real. It exists on a metaphysical level and like patterns, like the nature of patterns. What is a pattern? You can't really hold a pattern. You can only observe a pattern. Like,
that's a good one.
Yeah. So like there's that. But also after that is we care for the body, we care for the mind, now caring for the soul. That's a tricky one. The soul is the hardest one to align, because like first you start with the body. All right, that's like ready for alignment. Then you go with the mind. That's ready for alignment. You become like intellectually enlightened. Then the soul. Like how do you care for the soul? First of all, you have to acknowledge its existence. You have to acknowledge your soul as a real thing. Yes, I have a soul. Yes, that is the real me. Beneath the skin, beneath the brain, the ideas, it's my soul. It's the heart. It's where the only thing that is the soul is made out of supposedly is pure love, which makes sense to me, honestly. Love is the intangible yet ever pervasive thing, and really the only reason why we ever do anything. Like, it's love. other if it's when it's not fear and anxiety and being manipulated and all that, it's love. The positive end is like the reason to do things is love. So the first step to caring for your soul and acknowledging your soul, it takes faith. You got to believe in it. That's the hard part. You can't ever know your soul exists. You have to accept belief. You have to accept faith. You have to accept saying like, I have faith in this concept. I'm going to choose to believe in the soul. And that's hard to do. That's like the hardest thing to do, in fact. Like, because there's a lot of scary parts about completely changing your because that's the final thing that'll make your reality crack. Like if you're going from a strictly atheist materialist thing who was like really fat and lived like shit and just ate McDonald's all the time and cared about like stupid shit, you know, like materialist shit. Once you start breaking out, you get skinny, you start loving yourself, and then you start like saying like being more compassionate to people, then you finally get to the point. It's like, yes, I believe in a soul. You know, I think I have a soul, and I think everyone has a soul. I'm not my body. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my ideas. No, I'm something deeper than that. I'm the love I have for people. You know, that's what I am.
That's sweet.
It's not even sweet.
I like that mindset. Yeah.
Because what other mindset is there at that point? You know, like what else matters?
Yeah,
nothing. Like, I mean, people can make up stuff on top and say, well, my garden matters, my front lawn matters, my car matters. Like, yeah, whatever. You know, but you can't say that tracks for everyone, but what can track for everyone is living for love. That's like that. And you know what? I get it. I'm a cynical motherfucker, and I know how fucking corny that sounds, but I can't unknow what I know. You know, like I can't unknow that. I just see it. I've acknowledged it, and I'm live by it, and I'm going to live by it.
You realize it.
Yeah. And so I choose to embrace it and live by it, and it's only ever improved my life. Yeah. So anyway, in other news, I think I hope like the Jewish American people are okay, you know, because they're
having a hard time, really having a really rough time.
Yeah, they don't know what the fuck they clearly, you know, it's fucked up. Like like all Jewish Americans want to say shit, but they don't know what to say. Imagine being the people, the Democrats.
They've got pretty hardcore too. Like the woman had like put a gun protesters like a couple months ago.
I honestly respect the ones that from the get-go they went straight up like, you know, like xenophobic. They were like fuck these motherfuckers, these dogs. He's like, I'm straight Jewish. I support my Jewish state. I mean, I don't agree on any basis, but I respect. You know,
I mean, the argument is fine. No, you know,
it's very barbarian. You know, it's like, fuck them. You know, like they're not us. Like they're not.
I mean, it instantly went hardcore when it happened. Like, yeah, I'm a Jewish nationalist now.
Right.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's impressive.
At least you're standing up for it, you know? Yeah. And it's better. I think it's better being that way because at least you know your path compared to being stuck on the fence where you're like constantly being pushed back and forth. You're like, oh, I'm a liberal, so I have to side with the Palestinians, but my people. It's fucked up, man. I'm glad like it's actually gotten to the point where they just can't talk about it.
Yeah, I guess so for the most part.
Like you would think, like, oh, people will be arguing all the time. No, they're all shutting the fuck up.
Yeah, they know where they stand. And that's all I'm gonna say.
They what?
They know where they stand, and that's all they have to say.
Well, yeah, there's that, but it's just I don't know. It's so because like if you look at like if you have like outspoken Jewish American friends on social media,
do you?
I think everyone does who lives in New York City, especially.
I mean, yeah, true.
But if you
very true.
But if you see them like one day, they'll be like criticizing like, you know, the Israeli the militant forces like, for like crazy use of force and aggression, and the next day they're like, y'all sound like some anti-Semitic motherfuckers, blah, 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 blah. But then the next day they'll go back to like criticizing, like it's fucked up, man. It's like I would be fucked up about it.
Well, it's like pretty Nazis, like, you know, it's like, are people ever right to exist? Here are my 8 kids I have. Also, my genetic farm I have. You know about that, Chris? The farming dead soldiers for like genetic DNA.
Yeah. Jerking off the corpses.
Yeah, jerking off corpses you can have for Israeli kids.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I get 100% real. Really?
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, I would see it like where if it's if they're the only child.
Or at the very least, you know, you have like genetic DNA in like a freezer somewhere waiting. It's still good.
Well, actually, you know what? This is only thanks to modern technology. Because if this was around back in World War II, Saving Private Ryan would never have happened. They would have just, if all 4 brothers died, they would have just jerked off the biggest one and took a semen. And it's like, sorry, ma'am, all your sons are dead. But we took a spunk. Like, yeah, but fucking. Yeah, that's wild. Taking cum off corpses just to
have more Israeli kids.
Jesus Christ, Chinese wouldn't even do, or maybe they would.
I think they would do that.
Maybe they would do that. Maybe
I definitely, if the technology would do it.
Yeah, like a drone that goes around picking through bodies.
Did you see the Jordan Peterson tweet from it was like a year ago? I think he retweeted some like jerk off porn video, like a guy's dick in a tube as like this is what they do in China. You gotta tell me no, that's fake, Jordan. That's fake. It's not like a real video at all. It's like a fetish video you vlogged, dude.
Damn, but it was real.
Yeah, it's like a fetish blog he reblogged.
Wow.
Guys' dicks and tubes getting sucked off.
And what did he have to say about it?
It's like, oh my god, look at the horrors of China. Horrible things they're doing in China. Breeding program.
That's hilarious.
I can find it. I'll send it to you. It's a good image.
I mean, look, I'll be the first in line to make fun of like QAnon and stuff, but some stuff about like the deep state reptilian shit, like I don't know, I kind of think that tracks. I mean, sure, there's no hard evidence to prove the existence of a reptilian deep state or like an Orion collective controlled deep state or like. But some things we do know. For example, we do know that the CIA fucked around a lot with psychics and the Monroe Institute and like Gateway Project, and we do know they have confirmed astral projection. We do know that it works. Maybe not 100% of the time, but enough percent of the time, and get an eerily accurate results where they know there's something to this. So we established that ESP is literally real and actively used by like federal government agencies. So there is metaphysical truth to like all this aspect of, and in the same documents within the same institutions, they also confirmed entities, within these other dimensions of consciousness.
Yeah, and UFOs as well.
I mean, this is insane. Like, you have no idea. This was part of like a stacks and stacks and stacks of declassified CIA documents, and this is just like random. It's like, yeah, this is called the Gateway process, the Project Gateway, and this is where the CIA has been developing like and researching astral projection and raising consciousness and like psychic like development. It's insane because it's all like. It sounds like it was all like operational, like like verbiage, but it was all like new age shit. It was the same shit, like talking about like raising consciousness and like getting your heart centered and whatever. Except they use more clinical processes like binaural beats to get your brain in like a theta.
That's awesome.
Yeah, in like a theta state. This is real. See, I could show it to you. Like this is like a thing now. And the Monroe Institute is like notorious for producing like ESPs that have been like scooped up by like federal agencies like the FBI and the CIA. They use psychics. They fucking use psychics. Intelligence agencies use psychics. It's not even a secret. Like, they do this. Like, the KGB does the same shit. And I would.
God, a Russian psychic? That sounds incredible.
Dude, they all do this. All of the superpowers. I mean, they don't talk about it openly, but it's not even a secret anymore. Yeah. Like, they have like institutes within every major government. They're like, yo, we employ psychics for investigations.
Yeah.
I mean, look. It's like, let's say your ground crew, like all your immediate tactical assets just didn't have the beat on it. So they were like, you know what, let's bring in the guys from Monroe. And the guys, they love doing it, and they're regular dudes. They're just contractors, but their job happens to be like, they do a process where they have the one guy doing this and the psychic actually like observing it, and they have a process where the handler is like kind of made privy to the operations details, whereas the guy channeling remote viewing doesn't know anything about the context of the operation, and they just ask him, what do you see? Here are the coordinates, or here's the rough estimate, and then what do you see? And then either he's like blindfolded, rested in his theta state after the binaural beats, and then he says, I see this architecture, I see water around, I see this kind of fountain area, and they kind of give some of them give a rough sketch, some of them just do verbal oral delivery. but they try it and it's actually accurate. It actually fucking.
That's insane.
Yeah, but this isn't even fake. It's not even bullshit. Like, it's recorded, and so we know that's real. And it's like, I mean, it's not. And at that point, after all that is confirmed, is it really so much of a stretch to think like maybe the deep state has been in contact with aliens, you know, and like been working in conjunction and keeping us imprisoned, you know, like in weird metaphysical ways?
It's possible.
Yeah. What?
Bathroom, all right. How many time? We keep going.
No. We could wrap this up right now.
All right.
Anyway, we got to pee and we got to eat food. So
thank you, folks.
Yeah. Peace out, motherfuckers.
Peace.